Here is a test you can run on your practice without spending $1. Leave for 2 weeks. No phone, no email, no checking the schedule from a beach chair at 6 in the morning. What happens? For most practice owners I talk to, the answer is somewhere between things get sloppy and the whole thing quietly stops. If that is your answer, you do not own a practice. You own a job with overhead and payroll. I am a practicing vascular surgeon and I own a multi-location vein practice, so I am not going to give you theory. In the next 10 minutes, I am going to walk you through exactly how to build a practice that runs when you are not in it. 5 steps, in order, starting with the one most owners skip. First thing to understand, owner dependence is not a discipline problem. It is a design flaw. Nobody sat down and designed a practice that requires you to approve every refund, settle every schedule conflict, and personally call the patient who is upset about a bill. It happened by accident. In the early days, you did everything because there was nobody else. That was correct. Then you hired people and the work grew, but the decisions never moved. They stayed with you. So the practice grew a bigger body and kept the same single brain. That is why you feel maxed out even when the numbers look fine. You are not the owner of the practice at that point. You are the operating system. And an operating system cannot take a vacation. Here is the tell. If your team is excellent and you are still exhausted, the problem is not the people, it is the wiring. So let us be specific about what is actually trapped in your head, because vague problems do not get fixed. It is usually 4 things. 1, judgment calls. When do we work a patient in? When do we say no? When do we write off a balance? 2, standards. What good looks like on a phone call, on a consult note, on a room turnover. 3, relationships. The referring physician who only responds to you, the rep, the biller, the landlord. 4, the numbers. What we collected last week, what a lead costs, whether that is normal. If those 4 things live only in your head, then every hour you are gone is an hour your team is guessing. And they will guess conservatively, which means they will guess in a way that costs you money. Step 1. Find every place the practice touches you. Do not do this from memory, because memory flatters us. Do it live. For 1 week, keep a running list every single time someone needs you. Every interruption, every approval, every question, every text at 9 at night. Write down what it was and how long it took. At the end of the week, you will have 20 to 60 entries, and they will fall into 3 buckets. Things only a physician can do, things anyone could do if the standard were written down, and things that exist purely because nobody was ever given the authority to decide. That 3rd bucket is usually the biggest one, and it is the cheapest to fix. You are not delegating tasks yet. You are just finding out where the wires run. Step 2. Turn recurring decisions into written rules. A system is just a decision you make 1 time instead of 40 times. Take your list from week 1 and find the questions that came up more than once. The patient wants to reschedule for the 3rd time. Do we keep booking them? The card declined. How many times do we try before we call? A negative review comes in. Who responds and how fast? Write the rule on 1 page. Plain language. If this, then that. Who decides and what the limit is. Do not write a policy manual. Nobody reads those. 1 page per decision, and it lives somewhere your team can actually find it. Do 5 of these, and you will feel the difference in a week, because 5 interruptions per day stop being interruptions. Step 3. Put 1 name on every recurring outcome, not a task list, an outcome, with a person and a number that tells you whether it is happening. New patient calls answered, consults booked, claims out the door, balances collected, reviews requested. If an outcome has 2 owners, it has 0 owners, and both of them will assume the other one has it. This is where most practices fake it. They have a great team with unclear ownership, so everything technically belongs to everyone, which means the only person who truly owns any outcome is you. Write the outcomes down, put one name beside each one, and tell them out loud that they own it. You will be surprised how much just that conversation changes. And be honest about capacity. Do not put 4 outcomes on the person who already has 6. Ownership without time is just blame with extra steps. Step 4, build the weekly rhythm that replaces you. A practice that runs without the owner still needs a moment where the whole thing checks itself. That is a short standing meeting. Same day, same time, every week, 30 minutes with the same agenda every single time. Here are the numbers. Here is what is off. Here is what we are doing about it, who owns it, and by when. That is the whole meeting. No status theater, no updates that could have been a message. The point is not the meeting. The point is that problems now have a scheduled place to surface, which means they stop being brought to you at random the moment you walk down a hallway. Interruption is what happens when there is no rhythm. Step 5, make the numbers report themselves. If checking on the practice requires you to log in, pull, and assemble, you will not do it while you are away, and you will be flying blind. So pick a small set of numbers that arrive on their own, weekly, without anybody being asked. Collections, new patients, show rate, cost per new patient, days in accounts receivable. 5 numbers is plenty. Same 5 every week in the same format, so a bad week is visually obvious. This is the difference between checking out and checking in. When the numbers come to you, 2 weeks away is a vacation. When they do not, 2 weeks away is an anxiety attack with better scenery. The goal here is not more reporting. The goal is that the practice tells you the truth without you interrogating it. Now, order of operations. Because handing off in the wrong order is how owners get burned and then take everything back. Start with the things that are high frequency and low risk. Scheduling rules, refill workflows, review requests, routine, follow-up. These happen constantly, they are annoying, and a mistake costs you almost nothing. That is exactly what you want for a first handoff, because your team needs reps in a place where reps are cheap. Then, move to medium risk. Billing follow-up, handling upset patients, vendor conversations, last, and only once the rhythm holds. The things that carry real money or real relationships. Never start with the hardest thing to prove that delegation does not work. It always works there. That is not a delegation test. That is a rig test. One more rule. Whatever you hand off the decision with it. Handing someone a task, but keeping the approval is not delegation. That is just adding a step and calling it progress. Let me tell you what is going to happen, so it does not scare you into reversing course. Things will get slightly worse before they get better. Somebody will apply your rule too literally. A patient will get an answer you would have phrased differently. The first few weeks will feel less precise than when you were touching everything. This is the moment where most owners quietly take it all back and conclude their team cannot handle it. Do not. What you are watching is not failure. It is the cost of transferring judgment out of one head into a system, and it is a one-time cost. If you hold for a few weeks and fix the rule instead of taking back the decision, it settles. Fix the rule, not the instance. That is the whole discipline. Budget a month. Almost everything settles inside of 4 weeks. So here is what to do this week. not all 5 steps. 1. Keep the interruption list for 5 days. Just write down every time the practice needs you. At the end of the week, circle the 3 things that came up most and write the 1-page rule for each one. That is it. That is your entire assignment, and it will take you less than an hour of actual work. If you want to know which part of your practice is most dependent on you before you start, we built a free AI audit at PractiScale.ai. It looks at your practice across mindset, marketing, management, and money, and tells you where the dependency actually sits. It is free, and there is no sales call. If this was useful, hit the like button so it reaches another practice owner who needs to hear it. I am Obinna. Go build something that runs without you.